and Terrapax. High on the sleeve of every Royal Space Corpsman, very close to his or her shoulder, is an embroidery of the Earth. Directly below this image of the Earth is written boldly, in Terrapax. These 3 words, written in a long-forgotten language, summarize the Space Marine's mission perfectly. He or she is to go boldly out of his homeworld and into the vast void of space and face any enemies of the Earth, and he is to bring the war to them and away from his home. It is for this simple reason that the Marine must fight and die if need be on an alien world. This is his purpose: peace on Earth. For humanity's sake, by P. Freeman. A Bullet Soldier. Above the alien city, the dark winter sky lit up as explosively as it was sudden, and raining down from it were 1,000 shooting stars. Furiously they burned through the heavens and fizzled the snow clouds out as they pierced them, and they lit up the night as far as the eye could see. Inside each projectile was a weapon. A fully armored Marine with a rifle, the most dangerous weapon in humanity's arsenal. Hail troopers, specialized in unconventional warfare. As the pods hurtled towards the ground, their retro thrusters deployed. Staff Sergeant S. Emerson took a few calming breaths of artificial atmosphere. He gripped the control sticks on his left and right, guiding his drop pod along the path displayed on his HUD. Through the view screen on his pod door, the clouds cleared out and the ground rose rapidly. Drop missions were as simple and straightforward as they were dangerous and deadly. That was a good thing, Emerson had been told. And this mission was as good as any. They had been fired like bullets from massive supercruisers high up in orbit. Once they landed, about 2/3 of the surviving force would hold down any significant landmarks they could in the surrounding area of the target building. The VAR's last remaining PSG, planetary shield generator. Then the rest of the grounded force would swoop in and disable it, making way for a full-scale invasion by the time the much slower drop boats deployed. Right after they would be waiting to take them home, they'd be done. T-30, 29, 28. As his pod and HUD both started a synchronized countdown until landfall, a bright, sizzling flash of red light zipped past Emerson's view screen. Then another, and another. Then the pod opposite him exploded violent. Then the deep powerful rumbling of the deadly anti-aircraft plasma engines came up from the ground, and the light show began. They were in range. T-17, 16, 15. Emerson's grip tightened on his control sticks. Each successive breath came shorter and faster. The light show was the worst part of every drop. On average they lost 1/3 of the force every time. As the pods neared the ground, falling in predictable straight lines, the enemy would start to fire back on them. Free-falling sitting ducks, they were. T-10, 9, 8, 7. More pods burst into flame. Their helpless occupants burning in seconds. At least they weren't in the automated drop boats. These few seconds would have been enough for the AA guns to ruthlessly decimate them, a few dozen soldiers at a time. Another bolt zipped by. T-4, 3, 2, 1. Landfall. The pod impacted the snow-covered ground with bone-crushing force. A deafening explosion blew his pod hatch open. Go, go, go. His radio screamed at him in Captain Skyfeld's gravelly overtasked voice. Odds continued to fall from the sky all around Emerson, making thunderous impact. Hatches blew open. The sounds from these merged with the AA guns to form one terrifying, disorienting din. Emerson hit the ground and ran alongside his fellows. Some men formed around him, guided by their HUDs. They were his platoon. His first time leading one, and a last-minute decision by Skyfeld. They had landed just out of bounds of the city. The massive walls were already manned by VAR's gunners, ripping the snowy white field to shreds. Men fell. Blood and body parts splattered on immaculate white. Over the radio, he could hear another sergeant call for orbital assistance. Marines weren't really the most powerful weapons man could offer. That was just propaganda. The spaceships above them, the ones the aliens had managed to keep at bay with the PSGs, those were the most powerful weapons in the universe as far as Emerson knew. The world flared brightly as, ahead of him, a huge chunk of the giant city walls vaporized. The sky had cracked open, and from it had come tearing down a rapid, incredibly pinpoint blast of pure unadulterated, blinding, superheated plasma. The impact knocked a huge cloud of dirt and steam into the air. A wave of heat blasted out towards them. The ships were the untouchable guardians of the sky. Emerson and the Marines continued to run. They had begun their invasion of the city, scored by the eardrum-shattering music of war. Inside the city, they converged on the building his team was supposed to occupy. It was marked on his HUD. They would hold there as the rest of the force gradually tightened around the city in a lethal chokehold. Someone fired into the front door and it gave way. Emerson pressed his back to the wall as the rest of the platoon made its way inside. He was covering the rear at the street end. From around the corner came bright blue light and rumbling. Against his better judgment, he peeked around and he saw it. Right there at the center of the city, the target building was definitely glowing. It wasn't supposed to do that. A shot whizzed past his head, but he paid it no heed. Suddenly the building pulsed. Then he saw a blue beam extend to the sky. As he trailed it up, his radio suddenly came alive in a frantic chorus of surprised and alarmed voices, screaming and confusion. And then it ceased, replaced by a loud piercing static. Emerson dropped to his knees and clutched the side of his helmet. Then even that stopped. His HUD disappeared. When he looked back up, he had never seen anything like it before. For the first time that night, he was truly afraid. Because through his empty visor, as he watched, each breath coming quicker and shorter and harder to draw, the sky tore open. And from it fell the spaceships they had come from. Author's name and the link to original text is in the description.